We'll do that. We'll call to order the Koochiching Economic Development Authority. It's Monday, May 21st, 10 o'clock. We're at the airport conference room. And we're here via video and I guess telephone, right?
Correct.
Right. First, I'd like to welcome our guests. And Felix, why don't you guys just join us?
Yeah, you guys hop on.
Yes.
I'm so new at this, is we'll let you vote.
Hello.
Yeah.
I like to sit next to the mayor, you know.
Yeah.
So don't
Go
get me
ahead.
confused with the mayor.
Come on, right on out.
Thank you.
If we're a little closer, we'd arm wrestle too, but
That's why I stayed far away from you.
well, the first order of business is to approve the agenda as presented with, I would seek a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add an item that I mistakenly left off. Commissioner McIntyre and I were talking about the number of projects that are happening with the school district, city, county, whole host of larger projects. And Adam talked about some of the challenges of bidding some of these projects and how they typically are coming in over engineers' estimates. So he had some thoughts, or at least have a conversation around bidding, especially on tight timelines, and some of the things to be mindful for all of us as we look at projects. And is that Adam,
Yeah.
fair characterization? We'll just call it project discussion. Project.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve with the addition.
I'll second it.
Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. We have minutes from 3/17/2025, a month ago.
It looked good to me. I'd make a motion to.
Commissioner Roach,
Second.
the mayor seconds. Any discussion on the minutes? Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And the biggest of all, Peter, we have to pay the bills, and you're the treasurer of this augment organization.
Yeah, and you see me when you walked in, banging out the numbers, so then that's put the time in. Yes, and first of all, I will move to accept the KEDA financials themselves. Everything seemed in order. Best I know, unless Paul or Tyra have something to add that I missed.
No, other than you'll note that you started commenting on the Walker, Giro, and Hani is the audit, annual audit. So that's, and they're,
And we're a member of the International Falls Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
We seek a second for the recommendation of Treasurer Peter.
I'll second.
You already did?
Sure.
I wasn't paying attention.
No. Okay. You're good now.
Normal. And we have a second.
Yep.
Call the question.
I'll
All those in
second.
favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Neverland, we're going to give you the floor.
Well, got one more here. I got
Oh, you got the cold weather.
yeah,
testing.
cold weather testing financials. The only thing to add, other than that they look in order again, is that there's a transfer of $15,000 to KEDA. Otherwise, I would move to accept the financials.
I'll second.
And a second by Commissioner McIntyre. Any questions or discussion? Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Before, Paul, we sit down, I want to thank you for being here, Felix. And I mentioned to him, and for those who weren't here, I found out that in Latin, Felix is the word for lucky. And so I think that pretty much seals the deal right there.
Amen to that.
well, yeah, and Felix, maybe you could introduce Simone, just the group. Yeah, thank you both for joining us today. I just found out on Friday that after I already printed that you were going to.
Yeah,
We were trying to schedule a time for you to come up and
absolutely.
continue looking at sites and talking to some of the people in and around the project. But so appreciate you coming up on a Monday.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Commissioner Roche. Thanks a lot. So Simone is, so I would say a couple of weeks ago, I was a consultant for Simone Company, CIMAC International. So she's just, as an entrepreneur, she's just moved a little bit, not a little bit, somewhat, I would say heavily towards supply chain business. And so we have opportunity as part of my role with Onesimus to bring the word out about the project to the public. So we happened to talk about the project here, and she expressed interest or desire. And I said, well, before we can move any further or go any further, the best thing I would like us to do is for you to take a trip to my good land International Falls. And so she's traveling overseas, I think within the next 2 hours, and she said, well, we got to do it before I travel. So and I said, well, if you are ready, I am ready. So we're here to walk the site and visit with Paul. Luckily, I was hoping we'd see Mayor too and talk to Roche, go to the warehouse. So Simone is here today just to see International Fall, to see the site, see what we're doing. And then I believe on our way home to the cities, we will discuss, is she still excited, or she thinks International Fall is in the middle of nowhere, or is this something for her to do, so that is it. So before I will have her speak a little bit to her person and what she's doing and why she's moving into a supply chain, a quick update on where we are. So we had a meeting 3 weeks ago with the state, with Hibis Bank and with Eileen in Florida. We couldn't get Blue Maho Capital, which is a group that are looking to come work with us, help us work with us to raise the owner's equity that the bank has been asking for. And then we had a group already interested in coming right away, 2 groups in Indonesia, but 3 weeks ago they sent me later because of the tariffs, and I think I shared the letter with Paul, and I said, no, it can't be this, I wanted to cost out the president, but I said, no, it's good for everyone. So in preparation for their coming right away, so I told Paul when we spoke on Friday, I said, well, this is what logistics is about. Logistics is about trying to make things happen where there seems to be no room, where people said, okay, well, it's not going to happen. So I said, we're going to tweak plans a little bit in the sense that we want to get the container aspect of it done right away and get the FTZ licensing up to, right off the ground right away. And then work with Commissioner Roche and use his facility for our warehouse, because that was one of the reasons that we didn't secure Ashley Furniture business last year. We didn't have the warehouse to break down the containers, and our FTZ certification wasn't in place. So I told Paul that coming with Simone is good, and we're going to take a look at it and say, okay, well, hey, how do we get this open up? How do we start the container aspect? Because for the container, we don't need a physical structure. We just need to get the place fenced, have the customs approve it, and secure the place as an FTZ. Custom release it for us. We take it from the first location, then we bring it to Commissioner Roche's warehouse to do the breakdown and do the inland local trucking or distribution. So that's the reason we're here today, to come bring Simone Chambliss to see International Fall. Hopefully she likes it. I'm the one driving. If she doesn't, I'll leave her halfway. Well, it's her car, so she might call the police on me. I stole her car, so I got to be very careful. So yeah, we're here for just 2 reasons. Actually, meet with Paul, give this update and the angle we're trying to push, and also letting him know that by the grace of God, we will have someone who's also willing to come in as one of the owners and put up some resource to get this project off the ground.
Appreciate that, yeah. And it is interesting with the tariffs and the upheaval and uncertainty that they're causing throughout. And I'll reference this in my director's report, that there's a webinar that the state's putting on tomorrow about how FTZs can help alleviate some of the issues surrounding the tariffs. And there's 208 people already signed up for, both businesses, economic development groups, communities. So there's a great deal of interest around this. So the timing is good. And as Felix said, there's some urgency about getting things started. So if we have to start with a temporary warehouse location or a fenced FTZ, Customs has to approve it, activate it. At least it gets some momentum, gets some activity, and then we move to the phase and demonstrate to your customers that it can work here. And I think that will go a long way. So, and in the meantime, of course, the finance piece of that continues on, and I know you've been working hard on that and working with a different bank now. But so again, thanks for coming up, and look forward to more conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Simone Chambliss. I'm not very outspoken, come out and speak without warning, but yes, I was very excited when he told me about this project, and we started mine. We got a warehouse, we bought a few trucks and got on the way, and just to see how things move from one place to the next really excite me. So I decided, hey, there's something big in this. I like to get into it and see how things progress from here. I'm also from Liberia, and I will be traveling to Liberia in a couple of hours. But one of my dreams is to carry something similar to Liberia. We have the port, we have the rail, everything there, but in certain areas it's a little bit too clustered to put all of the containers at one area. If we have another area, like I was telling him, I have a couple of acres of land back home, we could do something similar. So just knowing that this can be done, I was like, okay, I need to come and see how it works and what's going to happen here, be part of it, and take that knowledge as well back to my country. I think we will be able to make something, useful of it as well. So I'm excited. I'm happy to be in the midst of you guys to get some education and learn more about the business.
That's terrific. International calls to Liberia in one day. Boy, that's a
Well, that's what it is. We move things, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to transport there.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Alan. If you maybe want to introduce yourself to
Pardon?
if you want to introduce as chair. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm supposedly the chair, the late chair.
Oh my God, already.
Alan Rasmussen.
Okay.
And I've been on this board for many, many years. So thank you for being with us and to give us the update. We're still involved.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, we have gone through the minutes and have taken part in the treasurer's report, and I'm glad you're here because I was just fumbling along, tripping. I couldn't seem to remember anybody's name or what direction we ought to be going, so I'm grateful you're here.
So we're at where you said at the director's report? All right.
I know that's up next right now.
Yeah, and then
Yep, Paul's up next.
we did add an item for Commissioner McIntyre wanted to talk a little bit about projects, timing of projects, cost, and some things to be aware of just as we look at the number of projects that are happening in our area. So,
Okay.
but I'll just quickly provide some updates here through the director's report. As I mentioned, there's a webinar tomorrow on Deed is hosting on Minnesota FTZs, and they're going to focus on all 3 FTZs. David Hare is my counterpart down in Minneapolis. He helped set this up. He also joined me in a conversation with ANI about potentially, the benefits of a foreign trade zone. So he's been very helpful, as well as the Port of Duluth is going to be involved. And as I said, with the tariff situation, I think this is very timely, and over 200 people already signed up for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I did have to give him a phonetic breakdown of how to say Koochiching County. He struggled. So if nothing else, they'll pronounce this properly.
Wasn't Koochiching, was it?
It wasn't Koochiching.
Okay.
Yeah. In the school, Mike and I met with ISD 363 superintendent several weeks ago to discuss what role we might play as KEDA to market the site. I know there's been some discussion at the school board level, as well as the county board, and some of the neighbors in and around the school. What could possibly, what could the school, a second life of the school look like, and what kinds of activity might work there. So for our role, I just mentioned that we could help with the marketing of it, and Kyra created just a simple. We want to keep it simple, a one page with some information pertinent to the site. We also contacted a realtor in the Bemidji area that has a pretty broad geographic reach to see if they'd be interested in listing it. Anything else, Mike, along the...
Well, the school board has also obviously spent some time thinking about this, and we attended a school board meeting in Northholm, and at that meeting were auctioneers from Iowa.
Oh, they're from Minnesota.
Minnesota. And they gave a presentation to the board as to what they would do, how much they would charge, and so forth and so on. And I got the impression at this time that the school board just kind of thought they would lay over before they would act on anything like that and try to find another use. One of the things that's not on that sheet right there is that the roof on it is warranted until 2042, 44.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, that's a big deal. We've also approached the potential for uses of the school. We talked to Mid-Dakota Power, talked to them about would you have enough power to site a data center there. So, they're talking about that, and what the attraction is that it's nowhere. It's not in a community. It's in an area that's very private, quiet, and while it doesn't provide they don't provide a lot of jobs. It'd be a wonderful use of that school. And we've also touched base with a couple other entities, and we're hoping that somebody kind of takes us a little seriously and kind of takes a look at it. I and Paul have gone through the school more than once. It looks like some of the places they just got up and left. The gymnasium is 100%, 78,000 square feet of space. There's a school bus garage, there's an arena, and plus another garage there as well. And Paul Bunyan Communication runs right to the school. So we do think that even though the location is extremely rural, there's possibilities there. So we're going to make an attempt. We didn't try earlier out of deference to the people who were trying to reopen it as a charter school. So this is kind of our kickoff, and we're going to try to see where it goes.
I think it'd be in rural right now when you read in the paper and stuff, like down the Twin Cities now they're having issues with communities accepting having them. One is the noise they make, and apparently, and water usage and stuff like that. So that could be an advantage to
the Minneapolis
I don't
paper
know.
just ran an article about how much water they need.
Yep.
And, well, we don't know what their flow is there. We do know that when there was 180 people in the building using it at once, it was adequate.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
go from there.
something.
There's, obviously there's lots we don't know, but, when I drive by, you hate to see a building like that not occupied.
There's plenty of water right across the street.
And that, you know,
Yeah,
that may be
That's
a
right.
potential.
A couple weeks ago, I went for a drive, so I drove through, assuming we're allowed to do that, and it was just like everybody upped and just went their merry way,
Yeah.
just with and
It's eerie when you're in the building because, yeah, there's still books and things in the library. They're just still there. I mean,
Yeah.
laying there.
They did allow us to take some of the books that they had in their history section and and we gave them to the Historic Museum here in the Falls. So, you know, what the future of the rest of them is, we don't know, but it's a wonderful place. And you were out my way?
Mhm.
Did you wave when you drive by?
I don't know exactly where you live.
Oh, well, that's just as long as you wave.
I'll wave.
Just before the fire tower on the right with a fake deer in the yard, that's Shakey's.
Oh, okay.
But it's also on 50 acres of land, which, and again, the private might be a real. So we'll continue to update and see if we can generate some interest. I also received two serious, and I say serious, these people were at a point where they were, you know, talking specifics and for both the North Home Business Park and the International Falls Business Park. I thank Commissioner Roach for sending one of the interested parties our way, and had a very good conversation with him. And looks like that's probably about a year out, but it would be a really good fit and much needed in the area. So I'm looking forward to seeing him potentially move. And then the other inquiry is from a real estate broker out of Washington State on behalf of a customer. And I looked at the real estate company, and it's very big. It's across the country. And so I don't know who the customer would be, but they was looking specifically in the North Home area, which is curious. But so we'll see where that goes. And there's plenty of room yet at the North Home Business Park. MnDOT's going to planning on building a garage, their maintenance garage, but now they pushed it out till 2029. And I don't know why that's taking so long, but it's anyway. So we'll see where that goes. And then just Global Site Location Industries (GSLI). They're a site selection services business that works with companies and communities to help in the relocation or siting of companies and projects. I've been with them for a while, and that I get their emails, and I haven't formally joined, but you get two free. You get to submit 2 proposals per year for free, and I'm more interested in just seeing what kind of businesses are coming to these folks. And I like the fact that they're vetted. They're usually second stage companies, so they're established. They're not startups. And so I love the concept. But a lot of the companies are either the requirements didn't fit here. They either needed too much workforce, or they needed other things that we don't have here, or wasn't a realistic fit, or they wanted to be in specific parts of the country. A lot of interest in the southeast of the U.S. and southwest U.S. right now. There's a lot of that activity, primarily due to the tax climate and right to work and some of those other characteristics. But it's always good process to go through when trying to understand what's out there and what they're looking for. And you know, realistically, we're not in the ballpark for many of these, and that's why I haven't joined. But again, it's a good exercise to kind of follow what some of these projects are coming from or going to. And with that, I would answer any questions.
How much is it a year to join them?
Oh, they've got a
Scale.
menu of things you
Yeah,
can
okay.
you can but it's expensive.
Oh.
And again, it's trying to measure that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
cost effectiveness. And
Okay. Any questions of Director Neville? Thank you. We'll move on to city county update.
It's been pretty quiet at the county.
Pardon?
It's been pretty quiet at the county. We haven't had much going on for the last month or so.
Okay. Anything else from the county? Yeah.
It's been quiet. We're just working. I got ATV joint powers today. After this meeting, I got to go to Virginia. We're still trying to get funding and stuff for the Blue Ox Trail for getting our connection from Cap Togama basically over to the Blue Ox so we can get the ATV to get into International Falls, and then from there they can get anywhere they want once they get the Blue Ox Trail. So.
Okay. City, Mayor.
I don't know, kind of a holding pattern right now. All of our winter projects and such are either coming together or we have a busy day at City Hall today with all kinds of different meetings. EDA, we have a public hearing for the Public Works Rehab Project. In between time, I'm sure that Pete has a couple things that are, or might have a couple things standing out on his brain with what's going on in town and what we're up to.
Just that it's kind of good timing on we added this to the agenda on the bidding process because we're having a public hearing tonight about letting bids out, or this is the bonding hearing for the Public Works garage, but which will in turn you get to the bidding process, right? And I'll save the rest of that for when we discuss it as a group. Then after the EDA meeting, we later today at 8 o'clock, we're gonna have a special charter meeting regarding the recall petition. So we're going through that. But then we're getting our summer staff ready for all the projects. In the summer, we just hired, I think, 10 part-time workers to help spruce things up and stuff. And yeah, got some other things in the holding. The big news, we may have some type of stop sign at the Hardee's intersection. So
We will.
yeah,
We approve it.
We'll approve it. Yes, instead of leaving people up to their judgment of don't block because it's confusing for all of us. When are we not supposed to be blocking the intersection, right? So get that will be something. And other than that, just plugging away with that stuff.
Okay. From the end of the rainbow.
Lots of stuff going on, Mr. Chair. I'm glad you asked. Little Fork River, the Big Fork River ice went out today. That's always a big enterprise. You know, everybody runs down and waves at the ice when it drives by, when it goes by. Our rural communities are kind of in the same position as International Falls. They're hiring seasonal workers. They all had Easter celebrations, and in fact, Little Fork went so far as to have a 1950s sock hop. And other than I and you, probably no one else understands what that is. They even came in costume. So the city of Little Fork just had a good time. The other thing I'd like to chat about, Mr. Chair, is in our bylaws we have 2 meetings out county during the year, and I'll let you folks decide what would be best for you. But this year the cities will be Big Falls and Birchdale. So if you keep that in mind and let us know, we'll regale you when we go there. One of the items you got earlier today is a newspaper article from Wednesday, February 2nd, 2000. And it was when this organization was just being adopted. And it'll tell you that a little bit about some of the travails that went on. And how we did offer the job as CEO here to a young lady who was smarter than us, and she turned us down. And so here we go, 25 years. And I just thought that was interesting, and I'd like to make sure the rest of you see that. The area from Birchdale to Clemenson had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of boats during the spring fishing season. On every access, they were parked all the way out to each highway and then on both sides. So I hope that some of them stayed here in International Falls. I know a lot of them go back and forth to Lake of the Woods, and this is their time of the year. So now they start sturgeon fishing on the Rainy River, and there are people down there at camp doing that very thing right now. So that's what's going on in the rural area. Let me know when we can set up the rural meetings. Paul has informed me that the e-waste is going to start again, and it's going to be expanded this time, and I'm pretty grateful for that. North Holm, Big Falls, Little Fork, and Birchhill and Lowman are going to be in the picture, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I've got flyers. I forgot about that. Yeah, Koochiching Technology Initiative, along with Dynamic Life Cycle Innovations and the MPCA and Environmental Services, are hosting a series of free e-waste collection at all the communities based on the success of last year's here in International Falls. They got way more product that doesn't end up in a landfill, and it's recyclable, and it's a good thing. And it took a great deal of energy, but it was a good idea, and thanks for reminding me. But we'll be sending out flyers. It's the end of May, and I think it'll be received well in those other communities as well.
And lastly, don't forget your mother. Make sure you get Mother's Day cards and stuff like that.
I just have a question, Mike. Does the DNR, did they do counts in the spring on the river? Do they know how many people there? It'd be an interesting stat just to see how many.
It's uncountable.
Almost walk across, huh?
From boat to boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And you can't keep any fish.
Yeah.
And it doesn't deprive anybody from not trying.
And they come from all over, everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Oklahoma, Texas, you name it, there's people there.
You
And
know,
it's not 80 degrees, and it's
Nope.
It's a cold morning.
Oh, yeah.
Well, other than the Mississippi River, this is the first river that opens in Minnesota. So,
And I remembered one thing because I saw the back of your paper you had showing us there about the water plan, even 25. But we have just finished our one watershed, one plan for the Rainy River up around here in Rainy Lake. And it's soil and water, the county, the city, and Rainier. And we were proposing our budget now, and they approved the plan. And I just like to emphasize, it's a voluntary plan, but hopefully there'll be funds available so we can do some things like goes from like wells that private wells, to try and do the best we can, make them better, or erosion, storm sewer runoff and stuff like that. So hopefully for the next 10 years we'll have some available funds and got a plan that the people can do and come to and find out how to do some of these things. And I learned more about water than all that stuff I never had known before.
one last thing, Mr. Chair, if you come to the end of the rainbow where the Birchdalians live, right now, if you're outside, you can hear grouse drumming, sandhill cranes talking, doves cooing, and the people are out there are nice too.
All right, thank you.
Depends where you're at.
I was late, so Adam, did you get your item that you wanted with the school district?
No,
I do that.
well, it's Koochiching County and International Falls. It's kind of tough for smaller contractors to take on big projects. The amount of staff that the construction companies have, they have to try to keep them busy all year long, and to take on bigger projects can be very hard. And there's certain trades that aren't in International Falls. Like, I don't think there's a block layer or anything like that in International Falls. And trying to get someone to actually come over and give you an estimate, or getting bids out to all the different contractors, can be a challenge at times. Because some projects, you don't even get a chance to bid on them, because the bid packages don't come to your office, or you have to go chase people down to get a bid package.
And that ultimately can and usually does affect pricing costs, right? Because
Yeah.
I've noticed on a lot of those projects, the engineer's estimate is here, and the bids seem to always come in, not
Yeah.
just
Way
higher,
over.
but considerably higher.
Yeah. Well, logistics, getting materials here can be a tough thing. I would think that if you ordered windows or doors or commercial type stuff, it might be 2 weeks longer of a wait time than in the Twin Cities or even in Duluth.
With the engineering, not to piggyback on fraud, because I'm not making that assumption, but in Minnesota, particularly with some of the growth of funds that have been put into the pot, I know it's on the legislature's radar, and if Representative Scrubble was here, I think he'd talk about it, particularly with bonding, that the pot of money grows because a lot of these projects hinge on the engineering aspect before they even get to the bid, and private companies like mines and paper mills and things like that shoot for 8 to 10% project cost in engineering, and statewide with public money projects, with all of the laws and regulations, we're seeing upwards of 20 to even 30%. So there's millions of dollars in big projects that is in engineering costs, and whether that's reasonable or not, and then how does that affect the end user who gets to bid or knows how to bid and meet all the requirements. We're doing a project in Orr that's $750,000, and it's just a little 60 by 40 garage, and some of the requirements and the bid packet and the consulting is it's rather mind-boggling.
Another fact too, especially up here, where if you can, because there's plenty of projects in this state, so they don't have to work real hard when they're built. The bigger company, like say the block layers and stuff like that, because speaking of logistics and stuff, they have all this work around where they're at. That there isn't a whole lot of incentive to
Travel north.
that they don't, and along with that is right. We all know about the lack of people in those trades now. It's getting to there's only so many guys. All these factors come in, because that's like last year we wanted to start doing lead line service replacement, but the bids that came in, there was only one bidder, and they figured $15,000 a house was an estimate. The bid came in at about 32, I think it was, per house. So now part of that is if the 9th Street project comes in, part of the reason it's the size of it is so we can attract some people to make it worth their time, and that, like, the lead service will be part of that and stuff like that. So all these things come in.
Yeah, I mean, you start adding up these projects, the jail, the school district, the water plant, right? I mean, that's many millions of dollars, and you know, it's every year it seems that and the cost of everything goes up as well. I mean, steel and so it's a challenge to get those competitive bids up here, and then I suppose that longer projects, there people have to come here and either stay, well, they stay overnight, or in the summer I think they bring up trailers, some of them, but you got to build that into your equation too. You got to have a workforce from outside the area coming in and pay for them. So
We did that at the county. We turned around and bundled our jail roof with public health roof. So they're over there now. They're starting on our public health roof to redo that building.
yeah, that's a lot of styrofoam over there. How big a price tag on that one?
325.
$325 to do that, but they're redoing the roof to make the water run a different direction.
Oh, okay.
So-
So the slope, they're changing the slope of the roof.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. But there's a perfect example. You bundle, like we're doing with nights, you bundle it together to give them incentive.
You have to come up here to do 2 jobs instead of 1. Now you got double the work. So
And with that, what we were talking about, just to backtrack for a second on the bidding and the engineering and all that, Sean Kelly and I testified a couple weeks ago over the water plant bill in the House, and the need is statewide.
Yeah.
We listened to communities the size of Big Falls, the size of Little Fork, all over the state that have endless capital needs. I don't know. We recently rehabbed our 2 water towers. There were several councilors and mayors testifying that their water towers hadn't been touched since the 30s in some of these communities. So, as usual, there's more need than there is dollars.
yeah. That was back in the day here. It must have been probably 8 years ago, I believe. Badet turned around and they ended up building a brand new water tower to replace theirs that hadn't been touched in, must have been 80 years or so. And when that thing came down, unbelievable how much dust came out of that thing when it hit the ground. It was quite impressive.
Kind of like when they ripped down the old flame. Not the one you have, the one before that.
I don't remember that one.
I was pretty little, but I remember over there watching them rip it down. My neighbor lady took the bricks and made a fountain out of it.
All right. And so did that satisfy your question? Okay. And I apologize for being late. Time just got away from me. You can see how I'm dressed. I was working on a project for the neighbor, and she wanted it done. Whether it was
we understand.
And this was just voluntary, no cash exchange, but she insisted that I stay. Anyhow, and I was not going to cross her. So, did you talk about the effect of the Canadian retail trade here? I've had lots of questions about from business owners and whatever say that has severely affected their business, and I don't know if there's any kind of, I don't know what we're going to do about it, other than talk to the representatives or, of the people who decide what kind of tariffs are and what retaliatory tariffs are, and it just goes on. But what have you heard? What's the?
I had a business owner here in town tell me that 30% of their business is from Ontario.
Yeah, I estimated 20. NPR called me for an opinion, or immediately when, that was like 2 days after the tariffs had been instituted. So you really didn't know what the result would be. And then a lot of things have changed since then. But at that time, my estimate was, from what I talked, was about 20%. And some businesses, you know, like Border Boxes,
Yeah, I know that they've really, yeah.
you know, he said that was a major part
Yeah.
of his business. So anyhow, I know there's not a lot we can do about it except speak up and talk to representatives and legislators.
I think it's a federal thing more than anything. To
The
try
what?
to- It's a federal thing more than a state thing.
Well, no, yeah, except that the Canadians aren't too happy with us as a country right now. And that's as big as the tariffs, probably more, people say, that they're not coming across, you know. And if you want, you know, I go fishing twice a year over there, and I don't know if they'll let us in or not. So,
They were very nice a couple weeks ago. I was across a couple weeks ago, and they were very nice crossing the border.
They'll let you in. They still want our American money.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
pardon?
If I may, Mr. Chair. I've spent a considerable amount of time with Fort Francis Mayor Andrew Hallekas. There's been some articles in the Fort Francis newspaper that may lead some to believe that these two countries aren't friends. We are. I get along very well with the mayor. We're doing a statement of joint friendship between the two cities. We have an engagement tomorrow at 1 o'clock for a joint signing on another issue. And last Wednesday, he reiterated that the American flag and the Minnesota flag, state flag in which they fly either at their municipal building or near it, that it was his wishes that they never be taken down. And we've had just lengthy discussions about a reduction if tourism changes with Americans going to Canada to use that resource. And of course, we're very well aware what this is looking like locally, and it's that in-between time, not get up and go the 100 days of summer. So just to get that out there, that it's on, at least locally, I think, our radars in a big way.
Good. And sometimes you just need a reminder to remind yourself how important we are to each other, especially at border.
Yeah, exactly.
Here I am, as a perfect example. Half my mom was from Fort Francis, so here I am. Yeah, so that's how important we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that too, you know, they got the currency exchange rate, which is not real favorable to the Canadians right now. And even crossing the bridge, they upped the fee, and I know that was heartburn for a lot of people. Just the cost, especially if you're coming over a lot. I mean, it adds up.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Next meeting?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is it all right if we end the meeting on kind of a lighter note?
If we end the meeting on time, what?
On a little lighter note than...
Oh, yes.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I respect all your folks, and I don't want you to cackle,
What's his name?
but I'm looking for some advice because I'm thinking about a new career.
We can talk
I heard on TV you could be an influencer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the reason I use the word cackle is because I just decided to use the word today.
Yeah.
I wanted to. So, any advice that you could give me to learn how to be an influencer, it'd be good.
You just got to get online and get it out there.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know.
Oh, you want to do TikTok or you want to do Instagram?
Yeah.
You gotta follow your routes.
Go. Yeah.
I kind of look like a TikToker.
We're gonna put hillbilly in front of that though first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd get a lot of.
Right
Well, I'm
there.
sorry, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to
Well,
use the
no,
word
that's
cap.
very important. We,
Wood tick.
Yeah.
Wood tick.
we would love to have an influence.
It would, yeah. End of the rainbow influencer.
All right.
What about that?
So the if we this was a different date because I couldn't be here on Wednesday, and I could be here late today. So the it would be probably May 21st is a Wednesday. That's been our normally third Wednesday of the month. What does that look like for the board?
I'm open.
I have something going on that day.
You what?
I have something going on that day.
Okay.
I'm open.
But
Any other conflicts? Okay. With that,
yeah, the
That works for
21st
me.
is fine.
that suffice. You have an alternate too. Yeah. All right.
10 a.m. again?
Yeah.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock here. All right. Any other?